Hello and welcome to the second episode in my Killing Floor 2 ZED guide. In this video, we'll be taking a look at one of the most fearsome and often misunderstood enemies, the Scrake. The Scrake's origins go back to the early days of Horzine, and was designed to function as a field medic for the army of cloned experiments, being able to perform amputations and sutures with lightning speed and precision. The Scrake was also built to be tough, and able to absorb incredible amounts of pain. Unfortunately, Horzine soon discovered the Scrake became obsessed with pain, and more so in the art of inflicting it. The Scrake is typically the first big ZED players will meet, usually around Wave 4 in normal games and Wave 5 in long games. However, they can be seen as early as Wave 2 depending on what the game conductor decides. He uses a series of powerful melee attacks that can be chained in quick succession if the player does not put distance between themselves and the Scrake. Their behavior is relatively simple. They will spawn calm, marching slowly towards players, taunting them with a chainsaw. Once in range, which is 200 units, he will begin his attacks. The Scrake can be enraged just like a Fleshpound, however can only be triggered by receiving damage and will remain this way until all players are killed. He is incapacitated, which will only be temporary, or he himself is killed. On normal difficulty, he will rage at 50% of his head or body health lost. Hard and Suicidal will see this reduced to 25%, and Scrakes on Hell on Earth will rage at 10% lost. When enraged, he will gain the ability to sprint, but lose the ability to dodge grenades, nor can he deliberately block melee attacks, although this can happen accidentally when striking his chainsaw. The Scrake's anatomy is fairly simple for calculating damage. Head damage will receive a 1.1 times multiplier. Damage striking his chainsaw will receive a 0.2 times multiplier, and all other areas will deal damage per normal, not to include resistances. The Scrake's major vulnerability is to the impact from an RPG warhead, and with the exception of a 6-man, Suicidal, or Hell on Earth game, can be decapped by a level 25 Demolitionist using the entire left side of the skill tree with a single shot. He will take normal damage from SMGs, all rifles, slashing, bludgeon, and microwave attacks. Scrakes will be slightly resistant to shotguns, handguns, and piercing attacks, and extremely resistant to fire, explosions, and toxic attacks, meaning the Medic, Firebug, and Demo are generally bad options for dealing with the Scrake, with the exception of the RPG impact. Without going into the specific numbers, a Scrake can be incapped instantly by a stun grenade or cryo grenade, or with 2 nail bombs from a Gunslinger, assuming he still hasn't in cooldown from a previous incapacitation. Freeze incaps have a cooldown of 6 seconds, EMP will have a 10-second cooldown, and stun incaps will take 5 seconds to cool down from. A Scrake's health will range dramatically depending on difficulty and the number of players, but will start at a set amount at each difficulty with 1 player and will increase linearly with each additional player added. It is worth noting that the Hell on Earth and Suicidal Scrakes share the same body health stats, but otherwise will behave in different ways. Since the Scrake has a high resistance to explosives and fire, headshots are the preferred method of disposing of Scrakes, as you will chew through several magazines going for body shots on higher difficulties. With that being said, the best perks to use against Scrakes in a team setting are the Support, Gunslinger, Sharpshooter, Berserker, and Demolitionist. Some acceptable alternatives include SWAT, Commando, and the Survivalist, although this largely depends on loadout. Some perks that have no business dealing with Scrakes are the Firebug and Field Medic, although the Field Medic using the Hemogoblin can be used as a support weapon against them. While the Hemogoblin is a poor choice for damage per second, its ability to slow the Scrake's attacks and reduces damage by 30%, as well as increases incap and affliction vulnerability, make it useful in a team. Gunslingers can easily stun the Scrake with a single nail bomb when he's bled dry, and Sharpshooters with M14s can easily stunlock Scrakes. As mentioned earlier, Demolitionists can quickly bring down Scrakes with a single rocket on everything but a 6-man Suicidal and Hell on Earth game. As an alternate loadout, the Demolitionist can take an RPG, 500 Magnum, and C4, using the Magnum to weaken the skull and finishing them off with a quick rocket to the head at either close or medium range. Sharpshooters can pretty consistently take down Scrakes with a single railgun shot to the head in most circumstances, but I would highly suggest using the left side of the skill tree when attempting this. The EBR also makes short work of them, especially when paired with the Rack 'em Up skill. The Gunslinger Strategy will be similar to the EBR. Using Rack 'em Up and either the Desert Eagles or 500 Magnums will give you plenty of firepower to bring him down without reloading. Remember to charge your Rack 'em Up with the 9mm before starting the takedown to save you time, ammo, and possibly some health and armor. The support's best option will be to use the double barrel boomstick, paired with the damage buff and tight choke to bring Scrakes down, and this can be done with 2 to 4 point blank alt fires. This can also be used by other classes, however will take additional shots to bring Scrakes down. Alternatively, the AA-12 can work well as long as you can keep tracking the Scrake's head. Berserkers can essentially use any weapon, maybe with the exception of the Crowball, although the Zweihander, Eviscerator, and Mason Shield work best. The Zweihander will take some practice and is honestly something I struggle with a lot, especially with parrying. The Eviscerator's ranged attack can decap a Scrake with 2 headshots even when they have the highest health value. The Pulverizer's head attack can even keep them stunned, but is not very ammo efficient and should be saved for flesh pounds. The Commando and SWAT are fairly simple. Both will essentially have to mag dump with their high tier weapons. The Medic AR, SCAR, or AK in the case of the Commando, or the Vector Chris in the case of SWAT. SWAT fortunately has the advantage of using stun grenades, which can hold a Scrake long enough for a level 25 to get a kill before he becomes online again. For firebugs, it's honestly best just to be careful when using a flamethrower near them, especially on Hell on Earth, as enough fire damage can send them into a napalm-induced rage. Some important general rules for Scrakes are: do not under any circumstances rage a Scrake unless you and your team are prepared to take it down. This has been one of the most common rookie mistakes I see players make in Suicidal and sometimes even Hell on Earth. Also, alert your team of an incoming Scrake, whether it be through voice chat or just by typing the letters SC in chat. While they may not auto-rage from time or when they spawn, they will still have to be dealt with eventually, and will force you into a decision whether to move or to engage. Under most circumstances, a good team can quickly take down a Scrake or just avoid it. The addition of other random elements like a herd of quarter pounders or a husk sniping your sharpshooter from across the map can force you into a bad situation. That being said, keep your eyes and ears open, and keep trash off your big Zed killers if you are playing Firebug, SWAT, Commando, or Medic. If you are using voice chat, let your team know where the Scrake is and that you plan on taking it down, as they will less likely to be blindsided if you botch an RPG or railgun shot. While Scrakes can be terrifying to new players or those stepping into a higher difficulty, they're one of the more manageable big enemies, especially with the addition of the quarter pounder, and can allow you to engage them at your own pace. That being said, don't let Scrakes build up, as one Scrake is easy to deal with other Zeds being around. 4 or 5 is a totally different story. Thank you very much for watching. Join us next time as we take a look at some of the weaker enemies. But until next time, happy hunting, and please stop shooting Scrakes with flamethrowers.